I was sprawled on the kitchen floor, the cold tiles pressing against my cheek, when I called my son, David, for help. My chest felt like it was caving in, each breath a sharp stab. David. I gasped into the phone. I need you. Something's wrong. His voice came through, bright with laughter in the background, glasses clinking. Mom, it's Sarah's birthday party. We're in the middle of it. Can I come tomorrow? That moment broke something in me. Not my heart, but the part of me that kept forgiving him. At 67, I'd spent years putting him first, but there on the floor, I realized he'd chosen a cake over my crisis. I forced the words out. I think I'm dying. A pause, then irritation in his tone. Just call 911, Mom. That's what they're for. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, my hand trembling, the screen blurring as pain tightened its grip. The soup I'd been making for him, his favorite chicken noodle, had spilled across the floor when I fell. The pot lay tipped over, a mess of broth and carrots soaking into the tiles. I'd made it because he said he'd stop by. He hadn't come last week either, or the week before, but I kept cooking, kept hoping. Habits die hard, even when love starts to fade. The pain in my chest grew heavier, like a weight pressing me into the ground. I tried to move, but my arms felt like lead. My fingers fumbled with the phone again, dialing 911 this time. Help, I whispered when they answered. I can't get up. The operator's voice was calm, steady, asking my address, telling me to stay still. I wanted to laugh. Where was I going? I lay there, staring at the ceiling, the fan spinning lazily above. I thought about all the times I'd dropped everything for David. When he was 6, I stayed up all night sewing his Halloween costume, a cowboy hat and vest, because he begged for it. When he crashed his first car at 19, I paid the repairs, even when I couldn't afford it. When Sarah, his wife, lost her job, I sent money for their rent. I never asked for thanks. I just wanted him to show up when it mattered. He didn't. The ambulance lights flashed through the window before I heard the siren. Paramedics rushed in, their boots loud on the floor. They asked questions, my name, Ellen, my age, any medications. I answered in short breaths, my eyes fixed on the door, half expecting David to burst through. He didn't. They lifted me onto a stretcher, the world tilting as they carried me out. The hospital was a blur of white walls and beeping machines. A nurse, young with kind eyes, adjusted N4 in my arm. Is someone coming for you? She asked. I shook my head. No one's coming. She squeezed my hand, and that small gesture hurt more than the needles. It was the first kindness I'd felt all day. In the hospital bed, I replayed David's words. Can I come tomorrow? Tomorrow. As if my life could wait. I thought about the birthday party, the laughter I'd heard over the phone. Sarah's voice in the background, high and sharp, calling for more wine. I'd met her family once at their wedding. They smiled politely but kept their distance, like I was an outsider. I'd spent years trying to win them over, cooking meals they didn't eat, sending gifts they didn't thank me for. I kept folding their laundry in my heart, smoothing out their edges, hoping they'd see me. They didn't. The pain in my chest wasn't just physical anymore. It was every missed call, every promise David broke. The time he forgot my birthday but called the next day to borrow money. The time Sarah rolled her eyes when I offered to babysit their daughter, Lily, saying, "We prefer a professional nanny." The time David said, "Mom, you're too clingy," when I asked why he hadn't visited in months. Each memory was a cut, small but deep, piling up over years. I closed my eyes, the hospital lights too bright. The nurse came back, checking the monitor. "You're stable for now," she said. "Try to rest." Rest? I almost laughed. How do you rest when your own son leaves you on the floor? I thought about the soup, the way it spread across the tiles, like all the love I'd poured into David, wasted. I'd always been the one to clean up his messes, his failed business, his fights with Sarah, his late bills. I'd carried his burdens, thinking that's what mothers do. But what about me? Who carried me? The answer was no one. Not David, not Sarah, not even the neighbors who waved but never stopped by. I was alone, and for the first time, I let myself feel it. Not with tears, but with a quiet anger that settled in my bones. I opened my eyes and saw the nurse writing on a whiteboard. My name, Ellen, in black marker. The date, May 20th, 2025. A small heart drawn next to it, probably her attempt to cheer me up. It didn't. I didn't want hearts. I wanted someone to show up. I thought about David's childhood, how I'd cancel work to sit with him when he was sick, how I'd drive across town to bring him forgotten homework. I thought about the time he called me at 2 a.m., crying because Sarah threatened to leave. I stayed on the phone for hours listening, soothing. I never hung up. I never said, "I'm busy." But he did. He hung up when I needed him most. The machine next to me beeped steadily, a rhythm that felt like a countdown. I didn't know what was coming, another heart episode, another day alone, or something else entirely. But I knew one thing. I couldn't keep waiting for David to choose me. The nurse came back with a cup of water. "You look like you're thinking hard," she said softly. I nodded but didn't speak. I was thinking, all right. Thinking about how many years I'd spent hoping, forgiving, excusing. Thinking about the moment I hit the floor, the phone slipping from my hand, David's voice already gone. Thinking about how I'd always been there for him, but when my turn came, he was at a party. I sipped the water, my throat dry. The hospital was quiet now, the night shift settling in. I stared at the door, still half hoping, half dreading David would walk through. He didn't. And in that silence, something shifted. I wasn't just Ellen, David's mother. I was Ellen, period. A woman who'd given too much for too long. A woman who deserved more than a maybe tomorrow. I set the cup down and made a decision. Not loud, not dramatic, but firm. I was done waiting. The next morning, I'd start changing things. Not just for David, but for me. The hospital room was too quiet, the kind of quiet that made every thought louder. I lay in the bed, the phone dripping into my arm, the monitor beeping like a heartbeat I didn't trust anymore. My decision from last night, to stop waiting for David, felt heavier in the morning light. It wasn't just about him not showing up. It was about all the years I'd let him walk away, thinking he'd come back. I stared at the whiteboard with my name, Ellen, and that little heart the nurse had drawn. It mocked me now, a reminder of kindness from a stranger when my own son couldn't bother. The clock on the wall read 7:15 a.m. I hadn't slept. How could I? My mind kept replaying that call. His voice so casual, so distracted. "Can I come tomorrow?" Like I was a chore he could push to the next day. I thought about the soup, spilled on the kitchen floor, the bowl I'd broken when I fell. I'd made it for him like always. I was still that mother, cooking for a son who didn't show up. But not anymore. A nurse walked in, her shoes squeaking on the linoleum. "Morning, Ellen," she said, checking my chart. "You're doing better. The doctor will see you soon." I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. Better. Was electrified. I wanted to ask her to sit with me, just for a minute, but I didn't. I'd learned long ago not to ask for too much. The doctor came in next, a man with gray hair and a clipboard. "Ellen, you had an episode of atrial fibrillation," he said. "It's serious but manageable with medication and rest. You'll need to avoid stress." I almost laughed. Avoid stress? My whole life was stress. Paying David's bills, swallowing Sarah's snide comments, waiting for visits that never happened. But I just nodded. "Okay," I said. He left, and I was alone again. That's when I heard footsteps, quick and heavy, coming down the hall. My heart jumped. "David?" I sat up, the four tugging at my arm. The door opened, but it wasn't him. It was Sarah, his wife, standing there with a tight smile and a bouquet of daisies. "Ellen," she said, her voice sharp like she was scolding a child. "We need to talk." I froze. Sarah never came alone. She always trailed behind David, letting him do the talking. This was new. A twist I didn't see coming. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. The flowers looked cheap, like they were grabbed from a gas station. She set them on the tray table, not looking at me. "David's a mess," she said. "He feels awful about yesterday. You shouldn't have called during the party. It was bad timing." Bad timing. I wanted to scream. I was on the floor, fighting to breathe, and she was talking about timing? But I stayed quiet, my hands gripping the blanket. "He's sorry," she went on, crossing her arms. "But you can't just guilt him like this. It's not fair. We have a life, you know." Her words hit like a slap. Guilt him? I'd never asked for anything, not in years. I'd given everything, money, time, love, and now I was the one making them feel bad? I looked at her, her perfect hair, her expensive jacket. She didn't look like someone who'd ever been on the floor begging. Sarah, I said, my voice steady despite the pain in my chest. I needed help. I called my son. He hung up. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. He didn't know it was that serious. You should have called me. I stared at her, the room suddenly smaller. Called her? The woman who'd laughed when I brought over a casserole last Christmas, saying, "We don't eat that kind of food anymore." The woman who'd told me not to visit too often because it stressed Lily out? I wanted to tell her to leave, but then another twist hit. She pulled out her phone and played a voicemail. It was David's voice, shaky, almost crying. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were that sick. I'm coming now. Please don't hate me." The message ended, and Sarah looked at me smug. "See? He cares. You're making this bigger than it needs to be." My heart twisted. His voice sounded so much like the boy I'd raised, the one who'd hug me and say, "You're the best, Mom." But that boy was gone. This was a man who'd chosen a party over me. I didn't trust the tears in his voice. Not anymore. "He's not here now," I said quietly. Sarah's face hardened. "He's on his way. But if you keep acting like this, you're going to lose him. And Lily, is that what you want?" That was the first real cut. Lily, my granddaughter, 4 years old, with her big eyes and messy curls. I'd spent hours reading to her, braiding her hair, teaching her to plant flowers in my garden. The thought of losing her stopped my breath. Sarah knew it. She was using Lily to pull me back, to make me forgive. I looked at the daisies already wilting. "I don't want to lose anyone," I said. "But I'm done begging to be seen." Sarah opened her mouth, then closed it. She wasn't expecting that. For years, I'd been the one to back down, to apologize, to smooth things over. Not this time. She grabbed her purse. "Fine," she snapped. "But don't expect us to keep chasing you." She walked out, the door clicking shut. I sat there, the silence louder than ever. David's voicemail played in my head, but it didn't soften me. It felt like another promise he wouldn't keep. I thought about Lily, her tiny hand in mine, and my chest ached again. But I couldn't let that pull me back. I'd spent too long being the one who gave in. A new nurse came in, older, with gray curls and a warm smile. "You okay, honey?" she asked, checking my four. I nodded, but my eyes were wet. She didn't push, just patted my shoulder. "You're stronger than you know," she said. Her words stayed with me, like a spark in the dark. Stronger. Maybe I was. I reached for the notepad by my bed and started writing. Not a letter to David, not an apology. A list. Things I needed to do for me. First, call a lawyer. Second, check my bank accounts. Third, figure out who I was without being David's mom. The pen shook in my hand, but I kept writing. Each word felt like a step away from the woman who'd fallen on the floor. Then another twist came. My phone buzzed. A text from David. "I'm here. Outside the hospital. Can I come up?" My heart stopped. He was here? After everything? I stared at the screen, the words blurring. Part of me wanted to say yes, to see his face, to believe he cared. But another part, the part that was tired of waiting, whispered no. I didn't reply. I set the phone down and looked at the nurse. "Can you make sure no visitors come in?" I asked. She raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Whatever you need, Ellen." I leaned back, closing my eyes. David was outside, but I wasn't ready to let him in. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The list in my hand felt heavier than the phone. It was mine, not his. For the first time in years, I felt like I was choosing myself. But the question lingered. What would happen when he knocked? Would I open the door, or would I keep it shut? The answer wasn't clear, but the spark from the nurse's words grew brighter. I wasn't just David's mom anymore. I was Ellen, and I was starting to remember who that was. The hospital room felt smaller after I told the nurse to keep visitors out. My phone sat face down on the tray table. David's text. "I'm here. Outside the hospital. Can I come up?" Burning in my mind. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not yet. The list I'd started writing, with steps to take back my life, lay next to it. Call a lawyer. Check bank accounts. Figure out who I was. Each word felt like a promise to myself, one I'd never made before. The nurse, the older one with gray curls, came back in. I told the desk no visitors, she said, her eyes soft but sharp, like she understood more than I'd said. You sure about this, Ellen? I nodded, my throat tight. I need time. She didn't push, just adjusted my blanket and left. I stared at the ceiling, the fan spinning slow, like it was counting the seconds I'd spent waiting for David. My whole life I'd waited. For his calls, his visits, his apologies. No more. But the silence didn't last. A knock came at the door, soft but insistent. My heart jumped. The nurse had just promised no visitors. Who was it? I sat up, the four tugging at my arm. Who's there? I called, my voice shaky. The door creaked open, and it wasn't David. It was Mrs. Carter, my neighbor from across the street, holding a small potted plant. Her white hair was pulled back, her glasses slipping down her nose. Ellen, I heard you were here, she said, stepping inside. I hope I'm not bothering you. I blinked, caught off guard. Mrs. Carter and I waved to each other sometimes, but we weren't close. She'd lived alone since her husband passed, tending her roses and keeping to herself. Why was she here? How did you know? I asked. She smiled, setting the plant next to Sarah's wilting daisies. The ambulance woke half the street. I saw them take you. I called the hospital to check on you. Her words hit me hard. A neighbor I barely knew had cared enough to call, while my own son was at a party. I swallowed, trying to keep my voice steady. Thank you, I said. She sat in the visitor's chair, her hands folded. You don't look like someone who wants company, but I thought you might need it. I didn't know what to say. She was right. I didn't want company, but her being there felt different. Not like pity, but like she saw me. We talked for a while, about her garden, my old knitting projects, small things that felt safe. Then she said something that stopped me cold. I saw David's car outside. He's pacing by the entrance, looking upset. My stomach twisted. He was still here? I pictured him, head down, maybe holding those same cheap flowers Sarah brought. Part of me wanted to run to him, to hug him, to pretend yesterday didn't happen. But another part, the one that wrote that list, held me back. He can wait, I said, surprising myself. Mrs. Carter raised an eyebrow, but didn't argue. You're tougher than you look, Ellen. I didn't feel tough. I felt like I was breaking, piece by piece, and trying to hold myself together. After Mrs. Carter left, promising to check on my house, the nurse came back with a tray of food, Jell-O, a dry sandwich, some juice. I wasn't hungry, but I picked at it, thinking about David outside. Was he really upset, or was this another act like his voicemail? I didn't know anymore. Then came the next twist. My phone buzzed again, not a text but a call. It wasn't David's number. It was Lily's preschool. My heart raced. Why would they call me? I answered, my voice barely above a whisper. Hello. Mrs. Thompson, this is Miss Linda from Sunny Days Preschool, a woman said, her tone urgent. We tried calling David and Sarah, but they're not answering. Lily's sick. She's got a fever and needs to be picked up. You're listed as her emergency contact. My breath caught. Lily sick? And David, right outside, wasn't answering? I gripped the phone, my mind spinning. Is she okay? I asked. She's fine for now, just needs rest and someone to take her home, Miss Linda said. Can you come, or should we call someone else? I wanted to scream. I was in a hospital bed, hooked to machines, and they were asking me to pick up my granddaughter because her parents couldn't be bothered? But Lily's face flashed in my mind, her giggles, her tiny hands holding mine. I couldn't say no. I'll figure it out, I said, hanging up. I pressed the nurse call button. The gray-haired nurse came in, frowning. Everything okay? She asked. I explained about Lily, my words tumbling out. I need to get to her, but I'm stuck here. She looked at me, then at the monitor. You're stable, but you can't leave yet. Doctor's orders. Can someone else go? I thought about David, pacing outside. He didn't know about Lily's call. Part of me wanted to tell him, to make him step up. But another part didn't trust him to do it. I'd been Lily's safety net too many times. babysitting when they went on trips, buying her clothes when they forgot. I looked at the nurse. Can you call a cab for me? I'll go myself. Her eyes widened. Ellen, you just had a heart episode. You can't. I have to. I cut her off. She's my granddaughter. She sighed but nodded. I'll talk to the doctor. Maybe we can arrange something. As she left, my phone buzzed again. Another text from David. Mom, I'm still here. Please talk to me. I stared at it, anger mixing with guilt. He was here, but Lily was sick, and he wasn't answering his phone. I thought about all the times I dropped everything for him, missed doctor's appointments, skipped meals, emptied my savings. And now, even in a hospital bed, I was still the one they called to fix things. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. The list on the notepad caught my eye. I added a new line. Make sure Lily's safe. But I didn't write David's name. I couldn't rely on him, not even for her. The nurse came back, her face serious. The doctor says you can't leave, but we can arrange transport for Lily to come here if you're her guardian. Is that okay? I nodded, relief mixing with dread. Lily would be here soon, but what about David? Would he come up when he saw her? Would I let him? Another twist hit as I waited. A man's voice came from the hall, loud, arguing with the nurse. I'm her son. You can't keep me out. It was David. My heart pounded, the monitor beeping faster. He'd gotten past the front desk somehow. I gripped the blanket, torn between fear and fury. The nurse's voice stayed firm. She said, no visitors. You need to leave. I heard him curse, his footsteps fading. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. But the relief didn't last. What if he saw Lily arriving? What if he tried to take her before I could? I looked at the notepad, my list growing longer. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was fighting for Lily too. And that meant facing David, whether I was ready or not. The hospital room felt like a cage. The walls closing in as David's angry voice echoed in my memory. He'd been so close, just outside my door, shouting to be let in. But I'd told the nurse to keep him out, and she did. My heart was still racing, the monitor beeping faster than it should. I clutched the notepad with my list. Call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe. It was all I had to hold on to. A map for a life I was trying to rebuild. The gray-haired nurse, whose name tag read Betty, came back in. He's gone for now, she said, her voice low. But he's stubborn. Might try again. I nodded, my throat dry. Thanks for stopping him. She gave me a look, like she wanted to ask more but didn't. Your granddaughter's on her way. The preschool teacher's bringing her. Should be here in 20 minutes. Relief washed over me, but it was mixed with fear. Lily, my little girl, sick and alone because her parents couldn't answer a phone. I pictured her curled up, feverish, waiting for someone to care. I wanted to be that someone, even if I was stuck in this bed. But David was still out there, somewhere, and that scared me. What if he saw Lily coming in? What if he took her before I could explain? I pushed the thought away and focused on Betty. Can I call someone? A lawyer? I asked. Her eyebrows shot up. A lawyer? Now. I nodded. It's important. She hesitated but handed me a phone from the nurse's station, since mine was buzzing with David's texts. I ignored them, my fingers trembling as I dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Mr. Harris, a lawyer who'd helped my sister with her will. He answered on the third ring. Ellen? Is that you? His voice was warm, familiar. I explained everything, the words spilling out. My fault, David's absence, Lily's situation. I need to update my will, I said. And make sure Lily's taken care of no matter what. He was quiet for a moment. This is serious, Ellen. Can you meet me tomorrow? I glanced at the 4 in my arm. I'm in the hospital, but I'll figure it out. He promised to come by the next morning. I hung up, feeling a weight lift, but it didn't last. A new twist hit like a punch. Betty rushed in, her face pale. Ellen, there's a problem. Your son's at the front desk, saying he's here for Lily. He says he's her father, and has a right to take her. My stomach dropped. David knew about Lily? How? The preschool must have called him after me, or maybe Sarah told him. I gripped the bedrail, my mind racing. He can't take her, I said. I'm her emergency contact. They called me. Betty frowned. He's got ID and he's her dad. The hospital can't stop him unless you've got legal proof you're her guardian. Guardian. The word hit me hard. I wasn't Lily's guardian, not legally. I was just Grandma, the one who showed up when David and Sarah didn't. Panic clawed at me. If David took Lily, would I ever see her again? Sarah's words echoed. You're going to lose him. And Lily. I looked at Betty. Can you stall him? Please. She nodded, hurrying out. I grabbed my phone, ignoring David's texts, and called the preschool again. Miss Linda answered, sounding frazzled. Ellen, we're almost at the hospital. Lily's okay, just sleepy. I cut her off. David's here. He's trying to take her. Please don't let him. Bring her to me first. There was a pause. He's her father, Ellen. I can't just. Please, I begged. Just get her to my room. I'll handle the rest. She agreed, reluctantly. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. I thought about David, pacing outside, probably angry now. I thought about Lily, her small body curled up, needing me. I wasn't ready to face him, but for her, I had to be. The door opened again, and I braced myself, expecting David. But it was Miss Linda, holding Lily in her arms. My granddaughter's face was flushed, her eyes half closed. Grandma, she mumbled, reaching for me. I took her, ignoring the pain in my chest, the tug of the four. She was warm, too warm, but she nestled against me like I was home. Miss Linda looked worried. David's downstairs. He called right after you. Said he's coming for her. I held Lily tighter. He's not taking her, I said, my voice firm. Miss Linda hesitated, then nodded. I'll tell the desk you're her emergency contact. But you'll need to sort this out. She left, and I rocked Lily, humming a lullaby I used to sing when she was a baby. The monitor beeped faster, but I didn't care. She was here, safe for now. But the peace didn't last. Another twist came when Betty burst in again. Ellen, he's coming up. He got past the desk. Said he's not leaving without his daughter. My heart stopped. David was coming, and I couldn't hide. I looked at Lily, sleeping in my arms, and then at my list. Keep Lily safe. I didn't know how, but I knew I couldn't let him take her, not when he'd left me on the floor. I pressed the call button, hoping Betty could stop him again, but I heard his voice in the hall, closer now. She's my mother. I need to see her. He sounded desperate, not like the man who'd hung up on me. Was he sorry? Did it matter? I didn't have answers, only questions. Could I face him? Could I protect Lily? I looked at the notepad, my list growing heavier. I added one more line. Stand up to David. The words felt like a vow, but my hands shook as I wrote them. His footsteps were louder now, almost at the door. I held Lily close, my heart pounding, not just from the monitor but from the fight I knew was coming. I wasn't ready, but I had to be. For Lily. For me. The door handle turned, and I braced myself, not knowing if I'd forgive him or fight him, but knowing I couldn't back down. The door handle turned, and my heart stopped. I held Lily tighter, her warm, feverish body curled against me. David's footsteps were right outside, his voice sharp in the hall. I'm her son. Let me in. I braced myself, the monitor beeping wild next to me. I didn't know if I was ready to face him, but for Lily, I had to be. The door swung open, and there he was, David, my son, standing in the doorway. His face was flushed, his eyes red like he'd been crying. He held a teddy bear, the kind you grab from a hospital gift shop, its tag still dangling. Mom, he said, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I stared at him, my throat tight. Sorry. The word felt hollow after everything. After the floor, the phone call, the party he chose over me. Lily stirred in my arms, mumbling, Daddy. I shushed her gently, rocking her. David stepped closer, but I held up a hand. Stop, I said. My voice was steady, stronger than I felt. He froze, the teddy bear hanging limp in his hand. Mom, I didn't know it was that bad, he said. I thought you were okay. I came as soon as I heard. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to see the boy who used to run to me when he scraped his knee. But all I saw was the man who hung up when I was dying. You heard me, I said. I told you I needed you. You said to call 911. His face crumpled. I messed up. I know. But I'm here now. Let me take Lily. She needs to be home. Lily. Her name in his mouth made my chest ache. I looked down at her, her eyes half open, trusting me. I thought about the preschool's call, how they couldn't reach him or Sarah. And now he wanted to take her? You weren't there for her either, I said. They called me because you didn't answer. David's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Sarah was handling it. We were busy. Busy. There it was again, that word that cut deeper than a knife. I remembered all the times I wasn't busy, staying up to help him with homework, driving him to soccer, paying his bills when he lost his job. I was never too busy for him. But he was always too busy for me. Before I could speak, another twist hit. Betty, the nurse, stepped in behind David, her face tense. Ellen, there's someone else here. She says she's from social services. My heart sank. Social services? Why? David turned, confused, as a woman in a gray blazer walked in. She was young, with a clipboard and a no-nonsense look. Mrs. Thompson? She said, glancing at me. I'm Karen from Child Protective Services. We got a call about Lily's situation. I froze, my arms tightening around Lily. What situation? I asked. Karen's eyes flicked to David, then back to me. The preschool reported that neither parent was available when Lily got sick. They said you're in the hospital, and there's a dispute about who should take her. We need to ensure she's safe. David's face went pale. What? She's my daughter. I'm right here. Karen held up a hand. Sir, please calm down. We're just doing our job. Mrs. Thompson, you're listed as her emergency contact, but you're not her legal guardian. We need to know who's responsible for her. My mind spun. Social services here now? I looked at David, his eyes pleading, but all I could think about was Lily, sick and alone because he didn't pick up the phone. I'll take care of her, I said, my voice firm. She's safe with me. Karen frowned. You're in the hospital, Mrs. Thompson. That's not ideal. David jumped in. She's my daughter. I'll take her home. I shook my head. No. You weren't there. You don't get to decide now. The room went quiet, the tension thick. Lily whimpered, and I stroked her hair, trying to stay calm. Karen scribbled something on her clipboard. We'll need to verify guardianship. For now, Lily can stay here until we sort this out. But, Mrs. Thompson, you need to stay stable. Any stress could make things worse. Worse. Like things could get worse than this. My son begging forgiveness, social services questioning me, Lily caught in the middle. I looked at David, his eyes on Lily now, not me. Mom, please, he said. Don't do this. I'm her dad. I wanted to scream at him, to list every time he let me down, but I didn't. I thought about my list, the one I'd written to take back my life. Keeping Lily safe was on it, and I meant it. You had your chance, I said quietly. You chose a party. David's face twisted, like I'd hit him. He dropped the teddy bear on the chair and walked out, slamming the door. The sound made Lily flinch, and I held her closer, humming to soothe her. Karen watched me, her pen still moving. I'll be back tomorrow, she said. We'll need to talk to her parents and check your condition. She left and Betty stayed, checking my monitor. You okay? She asked. I nodded, but I wasn't. My heart was racing. Not just from the fight but from what came next. Another twist hit when my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Mr. Harris, the lawyer. I played it, my hands shaking. Ellen, I checked your old will. David's listed as your executor, and everything goes to him. If you want to change it, we need to act fast, especially with Lily involved. Call me. I set the phone down, my mind reeling. David, my executor? I'd written that will years ago, when he was still my boy, before Sarah, before Lily, before he left me on the floor. Now with social services here, I had to protect Lily, not just myself. I looked at her, sleeping now, her fever warm against my arm. I thought about my house, the one I'd paid off alone, the one David always assumed he'd get. I thought about the soup spilled and wasted, like all the love I'd given him. I grabbed the notepad and added another line. Change the will. It felt final, like closing a door. But as I wrote, I heard footsteps again, softer this time. Betty peeked in. Ellen, there's a woman outside. Says she's Sarah's mother. She wants to see Lily. My heart sank. Sarah's mother? Now. I didn't even know she was in town. Another twist. Another fight I wasn't ready for. I looked at Lily, then at my list. I wasn't backing down, not for David, not for Sarah's family. But the footsteps kept coming. And I knew this wasn't over. I held Lily close, my heart pounding, ready for whatever came through that door. Lily's small body was heavy in my arms, her feverish warmth grounding me as the hospital room felt like it was spinning. Sarah's mother was outside, wanting to see her. I didn't even know her name. Sarah always kept her family at a distance, like I wasn't worth knowing them. My heart pounded, the monitor beeping faster, mirroring the chaos in my head. David's slammed door still echoed, his "I'm sorry" mixing with the social worker's warning about Lily's guardianship. My notepad with its growing list, call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe, change the will, sat on the tray table, a reminder of the fight I was in. I wasn't just fighting for me anymore. I was fighting for Lily. The door opened, and Betty, the nurse, stepped in first, her face tight. "Ellen, it's Sarah's mother, Diane. She's insisting on seeing Lily. I can send her away if you want." I swallowed, my throat dry. Diane. I'd met her once at David and Sarah's wedding. A tall woman with cold eyes who barely spoke to me. Why was she here now? "Let her in," I said, my voice low. I didn't want to, but I needed to know what she wanted. Betty nodded and stepped out. I held Lily closer, stroking her hair, her soft breath steady despite her fever. The door opened again, and Diane walked in. She was older now, her hair gray but neat, her purse clutched like a shield. "Ellen," she said, her voice clipped. "I heard about your situation. I'm here for Lily." My stomach twisted. For Lily? Not to check on me. Not to ask how I was. Just Lily. I kept my face calm, even as anger burned inside. "She's fine with me," I said. "She's sick and I'm taking care of her." Diane's eyes narrowed, flicking to Lily, then back to me. "You're in a hospital bed. You can't take care of her. I'm her grandmother too." The word stung, like she was claiming equal ground. I thought about all the times I'd been there for Lily. Picking her up from preschool, reading her stories, wiping her tears when Sarah snapped at her. Diane had never called, never visited. "Where were you when the preschool couldn't reach Sarah?" I asked. Her lips tightened. "I was out of town. I came as soon as I heard. Sarah called me, said you're causing trouble, keeping David from his daughter." Trouble. That word again, like I was the problem for wanting to protect Lily. I wanted to yell, to tell her about the floor, the soup, David's call 911. But I didn't. I looked at Lily, her small hand curled around my finger. "I'm not keeping anyone from her," I said. "I'm keeping her safe." Diane stepped closer, her voice dropping. "You don't get to decide that. She's not yours." That was the first twist, sharp and cold. Not mine. Lily wasn't mine, not legally, but she felt like mine in every way that mattered. Before I could answer, another twist hit. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I glanced at it, expecting David or Sarah. It wasn't. "Ellen, this is Judy, your old co-worker from the library. Heard you're in the hospital. I'm coming by with coffee. You okay?" Judy. I hadn't seen her in years, not since I retired. How did she know? The message threw me, a small kindness in the middle of this storm. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. Diane was still staring, waiting for me to crumble. "I'm not giving her up," I said, my voice firm. "Not to you, not to David, not until I know she's okay." Diane's face hardened. "You're making a mistake. Sarah's already talking to a lawyer. They'll fight for Lily." A lawyer. Another twist, piling on top of everything else. Sarah was fighting for Lily now, after ignoring the preschool's call? I thought about my own call to Mr. Harris, the lawyer, about changing my will. Maybe I needed him for more than that now. "Let them try," I said, surprising myself. Diane blinked, caught off guard. She opened her mouth, but Betty came back in, her timing perfect. "Ellen, the doctor needs to check you. And Lily's fever needs monitoring." Diane hesitated, then turned to leave. "This isn't over," she said, her voice like ice. The door closed, and I let out a breath, my heart racing. Betty checked Lily's forehead, then mine. You're both running hot, she said, half smiling. Try to rest. Rest? I almost laughed. How could I rest with Diane's threat, David's anger, social services, and now Judy showing up? I looked at Lily, still sleeping, and added to my list. Find out what Sarah's planning. I needed to know what I was up against. The door opened again, and I braced myself, expecting Diane or David. But it was Judy, holding 2 coffee cups, her face soft with worry. Ellen, she said, rushing over. I saw the ambulance at your house. Why didn't you call me? I stared at her, tears stinging my eyes. Judy, who I'd worked with for years, who I hadn't seen since we drifted apart. I didn't think to, I admitted. She set the coffee down and hugged me, careful not to wake Lily. You're not alone, she said. Those words broke something in me, not in a bad way, but like a crack letting light in. I wasn't alone. Judy was here, Mrs. Carter had come, Betty kept checking on me. Strangers and old friends were showing up when my own son didn't. But the moment didn't last. Another twist came when Betty's walkie-talkie crackled. Nurse Betty, we've got a situation at the desk. The girl's parents are here, demanding to see her. Parents? David and Sarah, together now after all this. My heart sank. They were teaming up, and Diane was probably with them. I looked at Judy, then at Lily. They can't take her, I said, my voice shaking. Judy frowned. Who? What's going on? I explained everything. David's absence, Sarah's coldness, Diane's threat, the social worker. Judy listened, her face growing hard. You need a lawyer, Ellen. A good one. I know someone. I nodded, adding her suggestion to my list mentally. But there was no time to call. The door burst open, and Sarah stormed in, David behind her. Ellen, give me my daughter, Sarah snapped, her eyes blazing. David looked tired, defeated. Mom, please. Let's talk. I held Lily close, my heart pounding. Judy stood up, stepping between us. She's not going anywhere, Judy said, her voice firm. The room went silent, the tension thick enough to choke on. I looked at Sarah, then David, then Lily. My list was in my hand, my resolve stronger than ever. I wasn't giving up, not now. But their faces told me this fight was just beginning. The hospital room felt like it was holding its breath. Sarah stood there, her eyes like fire, demanding Lily. David was behind her, his face a mix of guilt and exhaustion. The teddy bear he'd brought still lying on the chair. Judy, my old co-worker, stood between us, her small frame fierce, like a wall I didn't expect. Lily whimpered in my arms, her fever making her restless. I rocked her gently, my heart pounding so hard the monitor next to me beeped in warning. My notepad, with its list, call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe, change the will, felt like my only anchor. Sarah's voice cut through the silence. Ellen, stop this. She's my daughter. Give her to me. Her words were sharp, but I saw her hands shake, like she wasn't as sure as she sounded. I looked at David, hoping for something, regret, maybe, or the son I used to know. But he just stared at the floor. Mom, please, he said, his voice low. Don't make this harder. Harder? I wanted to laugh. Harder than lying on the kitchen floor, begging for him to come? Harder than hearing call 911 while he partied? I held Lily closer, her warmth keeping me steady. You weren't there, I said, looking at Sarah. The preschool called me. Not you. Sarah's face twisted. We were busy. You're blowing this out of proportion. Judy stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Busy. She was on the floor, fighting to breathe. And you couldn't pick up the phone for your own kid? Sarah's eyes flashed, but before she could snap back, a new twist hit. The door opened and Karen, the social worker, walked in, her clipboard clutched tight. Her eyes scanned the room, taking in the standoff. What's going on here? She asked, her tone clipped. Sarah turned on her. This woman won't give me my daughter. She's sick, and Ellen's keeping her here in a hospital bed. Karen raised a hand. Everyone, calm down. I'm here to make sure Lily's safe. Mrs. Thompson, can you explain? I took a deep breath, my voice shaking but clear. Lily's sick. The preschool couldn't reach them. I'm her emergency contact. She's staying with me until she's better. Karen scribbled something, then looked at Sarah. Why didn't you answer the preschool's call? Sarah's face reddened. We were dealing with things. It's not my fault. David finally spoke, his voice quiet. It was my fault. I should have answered. His admission hit me like a punch. For a second, I saw the boy who used to apologize for breaking my favorite mug. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. Karen nodded, writing more. This is complicated. Lily's not leaving with anyone until we confirm guardianship. Mrs. Thompson, you're stable, but you're not cleared to leave. We'll keep Lily here for now. Sarah exploded. You can't do that. She's mine. Karen didn't flinch. I can, and I will, until we sort this out. Argue again and I'll call security. The room went quiet, Sarah's anger hanging heavy. David reached for her arm, but she pulled away. I looked at Lily, her small chest rising and falling, unaware of the fight around her. Judy sat beside me, her hand on my shoulder. You're doing the right thing, she whispered. I nodded, but doubt crept in. Was I? Keeping Lily here, fighting her parents. It felt right, but it was tearing everything apart. Then came another twist. My phone buzzed, a call from Mr. Harris, the lawyer. I answered, keeping my voice low so Sarah wouldn't hear. Ellen, he said. I've got your file ready. We can change the will tomorrow, but there's something else. Your bank account, it's joint with David. He's been pulling money out. A lot. My heart sank. Money? I'd put David on my account years ago, when he was struggling, to help him get by. I never checked it, trusting him. How much? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. 10,000 in the last year, Mr. Harris said. Mostly small withdrawals, but it adds up. I felt sick. 10,000. Money I'd saved from years of working double shifts, pinching pennies, skipping vacations. Money I thought was safe. I glanced at David, who was talking quietly to Sarah now, his head down. Did he know I'd find out? Was that why he was here, pretending to care? I hung up, my hands shaking. Judy noticed. What's wrong? She asked. I couldn't speak, not with Sarah and David there. I just shook my head, adding to my list in my mind. Cut David off the account. Karen spoke again, breaking the silence. I'm stepping out to make some calls. No one takes Lily until I'm back. She left, and Sarah glared at me. This is your fault, she said. You're turning everyone against us. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My mind was on the money, on David's betrayal, on Lily's fever. Judy squeezed my shoulder. Don't listen to her, she said. But Sarah wasn't done. She stepped closer, her voice low so only I could hear. You think you're protecting Lily? You're tearing her family apart. David's a wreck because of you. Her words cut deep, but I held her gaze. He tore it apart when he left me on the floor, I said. She flinched, just for a second, then turned to David. Let's go. We'll deal with this legally. They left, the door closing softer this time, but the weight stayed. I looked at Lily, still sleeping, and felt tears sting my eyes. Judy stayed quiet, her presence steady. Then another twist came. Betty walked in, holding a small envelope. This was at the desk for you, she said, handing it to me. I opened it, my hands trembling. Inside was a card, no signature, just a few words in neat handwriting. You're stronger than you know. Keep going. I stared at it, my chest tight. Who sent this? Mrs. Carter? Judy? Someone else? It didn't matter. It was another crack of light in the dark, reminding me I wasn't alone. But the fight wasn't over. Sarah's threat about a lawyer, David's withdrawals, Lily's fever, it was all piling up. I added to my list. Find out who's on my side. I held Lily close, her warmth my only certainty. The monitor beeped, Judy sat beside me, and the card lay open on the tray table. I didn't know what Sarah and David would do next, but I knew I wasn't giving up. Not on Lily, not on myself. Lily's small hand rested in mine, her fever finally easing as she slept in the hospital bed beside me. The mysterious card. You're stronger than you know. Keep going. Lay open on the tray table, its words like a lifeline. Judy sat in the chair, sipping her coffee, her eyes steady on me. The monitor beeped slower now, but my heart was still racing from everything. David taking money from my account. Sarah's threat to fight for Lily, The social worker's warning. My notepad with its list: call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe, change the will, cut David off the account, find out who's on my side, felt heavier every minute. I was fighting for more than myself now. I was fighting for the life I deserved and for Lily's safety. Judy broke the silence. Ellen, you need to eat something, she said, pushing the untouched sandwich toward me. I shook my head. I can't. Not with all this. She sighed, setting her coffee down. You're no good to Lily if you fall apart. Let me help. What's next? I looked at the list, my pen hovering over it. I need to talk to the lawyer again, I said, and figure out how to keep Lily with me. Judy nodded. My friend, the lawyer I mentioned, she's good. I'll call her. Before I could answer, a new twist hit. Betty the nurse rushed in, her face pale. Ellen, the social worker's back. And she's got a police officer with her. My stomach dropped. A police officer? For what? I held Lily tighter, her small body warm against me. Why? I asked, my voice shaking. Betty hesitated. They want to talk about Lily's custody. Sarah filed a complaint. Said you're keeping her against their wishes. My heart sank. A complaint? Already? Sarah hadn't wasted time. I looked at Judy, who was already on her feet. They can't just take her, she said. You're her emergency contact. I nodded, but fear clawed at me. I wasn't Lily's guardian, not legally. The door opened, and Karen, the social worker, walked in with a young officer in uniform. His badge read Officer Daniels. Karen's face was serious. Mrs. Thompson, we need to discuss Lily's situation. Her parents are claiming you're unfit to care for her right now. Unfit. The word hit like a slap. I'd spent years raising David, helping with Lily, giving everything I had. And now I was unfit? I'm the only one who showed up for her, I said, my voice steady despite the panic. They didn't answer the preschool's call. Karen glanced at the officer, then back at me. They're her parents, Mrs. Thompson. They have rights unless there's proof of neglect. Officer Daniels spoke up, his voice calm. We're not here to take her now, ma'am. But we need to verify everything. Can you tell us what happened? I explained it all. My collapse, David's call 911. The preschool's call, Sarah's absence. Judy chimed in, her voice sharp. Ellen's the only one who's been there for that little girl. Her parents were too busy partying. Karen scribbled on her clipboard, her face unreadable. We'll need to interview everyone, including the preschool staff. For now, Lily stays here under hospital supervision. The officer nodded. We'll keep the parents out until this is cleared up. They left, and I let out a breath, my hands shaking. Judy sat back down, her eyes fierce. They're not taking her, Ellen. We'll fight this. I nodded, but doubt crept in. Fight how? I was in a hospital bed, my savings drained by David, my energy fading. But Lily's small hand in mine kept me going. Then another twist came. My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Mr. Harris, the lawyer. I played it, keeping it low so Judy wouldn't hear every word. Ellen, I've got news. Your bank flagged suspicious activity on your account. David tried to withdraw more money this morning. $2,000. I froze the account for you, but you need to sign papers to remove him. I'll bring them tomorrow. I set the phone down, my chest tight. David, trying to take more? Even now, after everything? I looked at Judy, who was watching me. He's been stealing from me, I said, my voice breaking. 10,000 and now more. Judy's face hardened. Your own son? Ellen, that's low. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. I thought about the years I'd worked, saving every penny, thinking it was for our future, mine and David's. Now it was gone, and he was still reaching for more. I grabbed my notepad and added, sign papers to cut David off. The words felt like a knife, but I wrote them anyway. Judy reached for my hand. You're doing the right thing. You're stronger than you think. Her words echoed the card, and I glanced at it, wondering again who sent it. Before I could think too long, another twist hit. Betty came back, her face softer now. Ellen, there's someone else here. A woman named Clara, says she's from your knitting group. She brought soup. Clara? I hadn't seen her in months, not since the knitting group stopped meeting. Why was she here? I nodded, and Betty let her in. Clara was small, with white hair and a warm smile, carrying a thermos. "Ellen," she said, setting it down. "Mrs. Carter told me you were here. I thought you could use something homemade." The smell of chicken soup filled the room, and I almost cried. It was the same recipe I'd made for David, the one that spilled when I fell. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick. Clara sat down, her eyes kind. "You've always been the strong one, Ellen. We all saw it, even if you didn't." Her words hit deep, another crack of light in the dark. First Judy, then Mrs. Carter, now Clara. People I barely knew were showing up, while my own son took from me. But the moment didn't last. My phone buzzed again, a text from Sarah. "You're making a mistake. We're coming back with a lawyer. Lily's ours." My heart sank. They weren't giving up. I looked at Lily, still sleeping, then at Judy and Clara, who were watching me. "They're fighting for her," I said, my voice shaking. Clara frowned. "Let them try. You've got us." Us. That word felt new, like a shield I didn't know I had. I added to my list. Build a family that shows up. But Sarah's text lingered, and I knew the fight was far from over. I held Lily close, the soup's warmth mixing with her fever, and braced myself for what was coming next. Lily's soft breathing was the only calm in the hospital room. She slept in my arms, her fever down but still warm, while I held onto her like she was all I had left. Judy and Clara sat nearby, their presence like a shield against the storm outside. Sarah's text, "You're making a mistake. We're coming back with a lawyer. Lily's ours," burned in my mind, along with David's betrayal, taking thousands from my account. The card on the tray table, "You're stronger than you know. Keep going," gave me a spark of hope, but it was hard to hold on to with everything crashing down. My notepad, with its list, call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe, change the will, cut David off the account, build a family that shows up, felt like a battle plan I wasn't sure I could win. Judy broke the silence, her voice soft. "Ellen, you need to rest. We'll stay with Lily." I shook my head. "I can't. Not with Sarah and David coming back." Clara nodded, her thermos of soup still warm on the table. "They can't bully you. You're doing what's right." I wanted to believe her, but fear gnawed at me. What if they took Lily? What if I lost her for good? Then a new twist hit. Betty, the nurse, hurried in, her face tense. "Ellen, the social worker's back. She's got news and it's urgent." My heart raced, the monitor beeping faster. Urgent? Was it about Lily's custody? I held her closer, my arms trembling. "What kind of news?" I asked. Betty hesitated. She wouldn't say, but she's waiting outside with someone from the preschool. The preschool? My mind spun. Was it Miss Linda, Lily's teacher? Why was she here again? Judy stood up. "I'll go see what's happening," she said, but before she could, Karen, the social worker, walked in with Miss Linda behind her. Linda's face was pale, her eyes red like she'd been crying. "Ellen," Karen said, her voice calm but serious. "We've got new information about Lily's situation. Miss Linda needs to tell you something." I looked at Linda, my stomach twisting. "What's wrong?" I asked. Linda took a shaky breath. "It's about Lily's parents. We've had concerns for a while. They've missed pickups before, left her at school late without calling. Yesterday wasn't the first time." My heart stopped. Not the first time? I thought about David and Sarah, always busy, always leaving me to step in. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice sharp. Linda's eyes filled with tears. "We tried talking to them, but they brushed it off. I didn't know it was this bad until yesterday, when they didn't answer for hours." Karen stepped in. "This changes things. We're opening an investigation into their fitness as parents. Lily can stay with you for now, under hospital supervision, but we'll need a temporary guardianship order." Temporary guardianship. The words hit like a wave, relief mixed with fear. I could keep Lily, but only for now? And an investigation? I looked at Judy, who nodded, her face fierce. "That's good, Ellen. It buys you time." But Clara's voice was quieter. "It's not over. They'll fight harder now." She was right. Sarah's text already promised a lawyer. I thought about David, taking my money, leaving me on the floor. Could I trust him with Lily knowing this? Before I could answer, another twist came. My phone buzzed with a call from Mr. Harris, the lawyer. I answered, my voice low. Ellen, he said. I've got the papers ready to remove David from your account and change your will. But there's more. I found a loan in your name, tied to David's business. You're listed as the guarantor. If he defaults, you're on the hook for $50,000. $50,000? My breath caught. I'd never signed anything like that. Had David forged my name? I looked at Lily, then at Judy and Clara, who were watching me. He used me. I said, my voice breaking. My own son. Judy's face hardened. That's fraud, Ellen. We'll get him for this. I nodded, adding to my list. Check the loan. Sue if needed. The words felt like a wall between me and David, one I never thought I'd build. Miss Linda spoke again, her voice soft. Ellen, I'm sorry. I should have done more. But Lily's always been happiest with you. Her words broke me, not in a bad way, but like they cracked open something I'd buried. Happiest with me. I thought about Lily's giggles in my garden, her tiny hands planting flowers. I'd been her safe place, even when her parents weren't. But the moment didn't last. Another twist hit when Betty's walkie-talkie crackled. Nurse Betty, we've got a problem. The parents are back, and they've got a lawyer. They're demanding to see the social worker. My heart sank. Sarah and David with a lawyer, already? I looked at Karen, who sighed. I'll handle it, she said, but her face was tight. Stay here, Mrs. Thompson. Don't engage. She left with Miss Linda, and the room went quiet. Judy squeezed my hand. You're not alone, Ellen. We've got your back. Clara nodded, pouring soup into a cup. Eat this. You'll need strength. I took a sip, the warmth reminding me of the soup I'd made for David, now spilled and gone. Another twist came when the door opened again. It wasn't Sarah or David, but Mrs. Carter, my neighbor, holding a small basket of cookies. Ellen, she said, her eyes kind. I heard from Clara. Brought you something to share with Lily. I stared at her, tears stinging my eyes. Another person, showing up when my own son wouldn't. Thank you, I said, my voice thick. Mrs. Carter sat down, joining Judy and Clara, and the room felt fuller, not with noise but with care. But Sarah's text, the lawyer, the loan, they loomed like shadows. I added to my list. Trust the people who show up. I held Lily close, her breathing steady, and looked at the women around me. They were my family now, not by blood but by choice. But the fight wasn't over. I could hear voices in the hall, Sarah's sharp, David's low, the lawyer's calm. They were coming, and I had to be ready. I set the soup down, my hands steady for the first time, and braced myself for what was next. The voices in the hall grew louder, Sarah's sharp, David's low, and a new voice, calm and professional, probably their lawyer. I held Lily close, her fever finally gone, her small body relaxed in my arms. Judy, Clara, and Mrs. Carter sat around me, their presence like a wall against the storm outside. My notepad, with its list, call a lawyer, check bank accounts, keep Lily safe, change the will, cut David off the account, sue for the loan, trust the people who show up, was my battle plan, and I'd followed it step by step. The card, you're stronger than you know. Keep going, sat on the tray table, its words now part of me. But the fight wasn't over. Sarah and David were coming, and I had to face them. The door opened and Karen, the social worker, walked in first, her face tired but firm. Behind her came Sarah, David, and a man in a suit, holding a briefcase. Sarah's eyes locked on Lily. Give her to me, Ellen, she said, her voice shaking with anger. David didn't look at me, his head down, his hands clenched. The lawyer spoke first. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Mr. Wells, representing Lily's parents. You're interfering with their rights. Hand her over or we'll escalate this. My heart pounded, the monitor beeping faster. Judy stood up, her voice sharp. She's not interfering. She's protecting Lily. Where were they when she was sick? Mr. Wells raised a hand. That's for a court to decide. Mrs. Thompson is in no condition to care for a child. Karen stepped in, her clipboard tight against her chest. That's not true. Our investigation found multiple instances of neglect by Lily's parents. Missed pickups, unanswered calls, leaving her without supervision. Ellen's been her primary caregiver. Sarah's face went red. That's a lie. We're good parents. David finally looked up, his eyes wet. Mom, I didn't mean for this. I messed up. His voice broke, and for a second, I saw the boy I'd raised, the one who'd cry when he lost a soccer game. But that boy was gone, replaced by a man who'd taken my money, left me on the floor, and failed Lily. You did more than mess up, I said, my voice steady. You used me, my savings, my trust. And you left Lily alone. A new twist hit. Mr. Harris, my lawyer, walked in, his briefcase in hand. Ellen, he said, nodding to me. I've got the papers. He turned to Mr. Wells. My client's removing David from her bank account and changing her will. We're also filing charges for fraud. David forged Ellen's name on a $50,000 loan. The room went silent. Sarah's mouth dropped open. David's face went pale. Mom, no, he whispered. I didn't forge anything. You agreed to help. I shook my head. I never signed that loan. You know it. Mr. Wells frowned, looking at David. This complicates things. We'll need to review. Karen cut him off. There's more. Based on our findings, I'm recommending temporary guardianship to Ellen, pending a full hearing. Lily stays with her. Sarah screamed. You can't do that. But Mr. Wells grabbed her arm, whispering something. David just stood there, tears on his face. I looked at Lily, her eyes fluttering open. Grandma, she mumbled. I smiled, stroking her hair. I'm here, baby. Another twist came when Betty, the nurse, slipped in, holding a small box. Ellen, this was left at the desk, she said, handing it to me. I opened it, my hands trembling. Inside was a tiny knitted blanket, like the ones I used to make for Lily. A note was tucked inside. For Lily, from the knitting group. You're not alone. Tears stung my eyes. The knitting group, women I hadn't seen in months, had come together for me. I looked at Judy, Clara, and Mrs. Carter, then at the note. My new family, built from care, not blood. Sarah's voice broke through. This is ridiculous. We'll fight this, Ellen. You'll lose. I met her eyes, my fear gone. You can try, I said. But I'm not backing down. Mr. Wells ushered Sarah and David out, promising a court date. David looked back, his eyes pleading, but I turned away. The door closed, and the room felt lighter. Karen sat down, her voice soft. Ellen, you'll need to stay strong. This could get messy. I nodded, holding Lily. I know, but I'm ready. Judy smiled. We're all here for you. Clara and Mrs. Carter nodded, their eyes warm. Mr. Harris handed me the papers, and I signed them, cutting David off my account, changing my will to leave everything to Lily's future, naming Judy as executor. It felt final, like closing a book I'd read too long. The last twist came later, when Lily woke up, her eyes clear. Grandma, are you okay? She asked. I hugged her, tears falling. I'm better than okay, I said. We're going to be all right. She smiled, and it was like the sun breaking through clouds. The hospital room, once cold and lonely, was full now, with people who showed up, with love that didn't demand anything back. I thought about the floor, the spilled soup, David's call 911. I thought about the years I'd given, hoping he'd see me. He didn't, but others did: Judy, Clara, Mrs. Carter, the knitting group, even strangers who left cards and blankets. The moral lesson hit me then, clear as day. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to earn your place. The people who matter show up, and the ones who don't you let go. I held Lily, my list complete. Not because I'd checked every box, but because I'd found what mattered. The voices in the hall were gone, and for the first time, I wasn't waiting for anyone. I was here, with Lily, with my new family, and that was enough. The card's words echoed. I was stronger than I knew, and I'd keep going, not for David but for me.